Get you straight. I'm just listening to music, be flipping through magazines. But then I got kicked off of Facebook, so whatever. I'm gonna sit here and look at this. See what I have.
What you got to make you so big? Oh no, man. It's how I feel. Keep doing that. That's me. I got shit for the sweet niggas. I got shit for the backpackers. I got shit for the pity cap air. I got shit for the snapbacks. I got shit for the bookers and players. I got shit for the blackjacks. I got shit for the Maybach riders. I got shit for the hatchbacks. I never backtrack, never reject my calls. They heard about the new boys, the trace the songs. My ridiculous rap game, show them remorse. No regret, nigga, live with me.
That's a horse.
Alright. Alright. I see you gotta feel love. But you gotta show me a whole lot more. And you think you so good. Alright, man. Well, see, the thing is, and that's word from my pen. Niggas, I hold it down for the jewel in the bed. Walk the bed, sitting back in bed. First thing they said, y'all won't care. They came to shit, but they ain't gon' get. Can't resist, they won't get hit. They can't forget, but they won't forget. So I'ma kill this shit till they see through the fence. Let's read a little bit. I bring life into this lifeless spit. I green light at the darkest pit. Don't give me that board, I'll become a bitch. How was that all time? Okay, I see what you're doing, youngin'. And I like your style.
It's interesting that.
You gotta let people know you are. You understand me? Yeah, I understand.
Lily Winter is acquitted of poisoning. See, I gotta read so much about it.
Lord knows that I've gone astray, got caught in my way. I been kicked down, but I got back up. Feeling happy, but I found some love. Thought of the illicit, the same right after I thought of giving up.
I'm gonna turn this music down. We're gonna read some of this stuff. Hi, my one person that's always here. I wonder who you are.
You gotta give it to him. That part you go. I know you can go.
Okay. I don't know. Look at this. What does this say? Lily Winter is again acquitted of poisoning. I gotta find my glasses. Where are my glasses? I'll find them. I'll turn this back on until I find them. It's a good song. What do you want, Remy? Mark's teaching, baby. I'll find my glasses. They're in the kitchen.
Tenemos más formas de ahorrar en alimentos frescos que te encantan usando la aplicación de Kroger. Ahí puedes conseguir cupones personalizados y ofertas semanales para que los precios sigan bajando. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Estamos aquí para ayudarte a ahorrar en comida y productos básicos. Solo compra 5 de los productos participantes y ahorra $1 por cada uno con tu tarjeta. Kroger, fresh forever. From annual checkups to managing chronic conditions, taking care of your health should always be a priority. At Houston Methodist, our primary care doctors are available to provide personalized care for you and your family safely. We offer a variety of convenient ways to get care from us, from same-day sick visits to extended hours at select locations. We are taking every precaution to keep you safe during your visit. Choose your doctor or schedule online at HoustonMethodist.org/stay healthy.
Tony Bad, y'all. Oh my God, Tony Bad. All right, so let's pause this. I want to see what this says. I got my glasses. I'm excited. They just came in last week. I've been so blind and crippled. Look at this little lady in a rocking chair. What did she do? Wayne County courtroom before a calendar advertising a funeral home. Defense attorney Sidney Ward sums up his case for Lily Winter. Lily Winter is again acquitted of poisoning. When the jury of solemn farmers filed out of the Wayne County courtroom in Fairfield, Illinois on December 13th, pious old Lily Winter appraised them with a practiced eye. Things look good, she said. They haven't gotten any evidence that I can see, but then you can never tell. Then you never can tell. When the jury returned with a verdict after only 25 minutes, 78-year-old Lily smiled with righteous satisfaction. They had found her not guilty of attempting to murder her 17-year-old granddaughter, Marjorie Burton, by putting arsenic in her milk. Lily promptly went home to a rocking chair and her Bible, opposite picture, just as she had done 14 months before when another jury in the same court had found her innocent of poisoning her 3-year-old grandson, Donald Martin. Okay. During Lily's winter trials, prosecutor Virgil Mills tried to prove that it was no coincidence that the kindly old lady had survived most of her relatives. He exhumed the bodies of her sister Lorena, who died in 1922, and her brother Clinton, who passed away suddenly in 1941. In both, he found strong traces of arsenic. Then, to suggest how the poison might have got there, prosecutor Mills produced a battered can of arsenate of lead, which had been found in Lily's house. Her fingerprints were not on the can, however, and throughout the proceedings, great-grandmother Winter merely said, "Arsenic? I don't know nothing about any of this." Lily was free, but her freedom had come at a price. The price was an uneasy feeling that pervaded the town. Everybody thought it was a pretty strange case. One farmer said, "She's not guilty, but that doesn't mean I'd go to her place for dinner, know what I mean?" Another man reflected in horror, "I had breakfast there once." Worst of all, her immediate family now had turned against her. Her own daughter, still recalling the earlier death in trial, said, "I just can't forget that mother, when my little grandson died, didn't shed a tear. She just sat calmly in that rocking chair of hers." So last week, Lily was thinking about moving away. She had hardly ever been out of Fairfield, but now she considered moving to Clay City, where she has a cousin. Then she added thoughtfully, I've got a lot of relatives in California. Maybe I'll go there later on. It's the great grandson, Martin. Donald Martin, age 3, died strangely last year. This is the Life magazine, December 29th, 1947. Okay. Brother, Clinton Clark, ate a hearty lunch at Lily's home in 1941, collapsed and expired a few hours later. Granddaughter, Marjorie, sorry, my fingernails are dirty, I paint, drank a glass of poisoned milk but absorbed only a little arsenic and lived. Home again. After her second acquittal, Lily Winters sits by the stove and reads the 23rd Psalm, The Lord is my shepherd. Before she retired to her rocking chair, she was a temperance worker and an expert weaver, although she mournfully abandoned her loom after her brother Ralph died while wearing a suit she had made for him. Or did she kill him? Is this the woman I see them making those shows about? Look at this. See, this is why I look through these books right here. Look at this cartoon. Jim Berryman, it looks like, is the cartoonist, but that ink work, that's what I'm interested in. Look at that, the telephone, the paper, it shows movement, the background. That's just everything. This is, what can I do about it? It says, copy me, General. Don't say anything. This is Eisenhower. Is that Adolf Hitler? It says, what did Eisenhower say? His off-the-record comments at a Washington dinner start some juicy and malicious gossip. In Washington last week, a strange and elusive incident was serving notice that the presidential year, with its attendant gossip, rumor, trial balloons, and backknifing, is upon us. The incident concerned Chief of Staff Dwight Eisenhower, but it should also constitute a warning to all other candidates, whether avowed, unavowed, or just playing guest about, that the open season has arrived. From now on, all persons over the age of 35 who are, or by any stretch of the imagination can be identified prominently with either political party, will have to be on guard. Political gossip grows hotter by the day, and as it grows hotter, it also grows more malicious. There is some question whether its hot breath has not already withered the first beautiful bloom on Eisenhower. The incident is now known to Washington as the Eisenhower Dinner. Strangely, the dinner was not even in honor of the engaging general. The hostesses, Ms. J. Edward Durham and Mrs. John M. Gross, held it to introduce a new Pennsylvania Congressman, Licton Walter, to the party's panjandrums. I don't know what that is. The guest list included Republican Pennsylvania's aging Joe Grundy and one-time Big Boss Senator Ed Martin and G. Mason Owlett, who is the handyman of Philadelphia's Rich Joe Pugh. It also included Ohio's favorite son, Bob Taft, Michigan's distinguished Vandenberg, and General Eisenhower. The place was 1925 F Street Club, an old Georgian mansion with a quiet elegance and some of the best food in Washington. The club's membership is properly exclusive. Everything is discreetly off the record. Yet 24 hours after the guests went home, all Washington knew the story of the Eisenhower dinner. The story was soon in print and on the air. Sharp-tongued commentator Fulton Lewis Jr. provided the liveliest version of just what happened when the general and the politicians sat down to talk over liquors and coffee. The general, so Lewis told his listeners, had propounded an original cure for inflation. The government should call in the two industrialists and have them agree. 1, reduce prices for a period of 2 to 3 years. 2, eliminate all profits whatsoever. If industry refuse, Congress should tax all profits 100%. The story was frightening enough to chill the blood of a Democrat, let alone a good Republican. After this sort of gossip began spreading, there were some hasty efforts to set the record straight. Eisenhower had indeed been in a talkative mood and had got off some trenchant observations on the need for combating inflation by holding both profits and wages at reasonable levels. He also had talked at length of the need for vigorous leadership, and by implication, it had criticized the Republicans in Congress for failing to provide it. Senator Taft, who was quick to feel a critical barb, had replied tartly that it was easy to talk in broad generalities, but writing specific legislation was a different matter. After the senator had his say, the atmosphere in the usually cozy F Street Club grew chillier by the moment. But rumor about Eisenhower's 100% tax on profits apparently had been planted by some guests who disliked Eisenhower. It was nailed as a lie in the New York Times scrupulous columnist author Arthur Kroc, who wrote, imputed to the general at a bull session after a social dinner here last week are words he never uttered and supposed programmed to deal with domestic problems which he never proposed. The correspondent was at the same table and heard the entire discussion, which was of the private and informal character that important public men should be able to engage in without distortion through leaks. Despite his clean-cut denial, the story doubtless would persist. And regardless of how effective the malicious part of the gossip proved, it was also a fact that Eisenhower had done his cause considerable damage. By talking a little too much among the party hierarchy, he had proved himself at least somewhat naive as a politician. Moreover, he would have a hard time persisting in his claim of amateur status now that he had been talking politics with politicians. As one of his rivals for the candidacy said, the general's appearance at the same dinner table with Joe Grundy and Joe Pugh's man Friday ought to qualify him as a professional. Excuse me. Robert T. Elson. Even that paper smells. It's like you breathe it or something. Oh, God, man. All right. That was amazing. That was a very nice little, that's a tight little story of information. Excuse me. What is this? No. 1947. A sick hold-up water bottle to be blessed by the Padre that is at Rio Casca, where he stayed 2 months. He is currently at Euricania. Miracle priests, the sixth form to Brazilian towns to be cured by little Padre. It says, I didn't know this. There's so much. I'm so happy with this one. This one. Into the hot and dusty little towns of Rio Casca in Uruguaynia, in the southeastern region of Brazil, came thousands of strangers every day. They are malformed, the leprous, the paralyzed. They come to see a wizened, gap-toothed little man, the miracle priest. When Padre Antonio Pinto appears at his window, in the above picture right here, and commands a cripple to stand up and walk, the man sometimes gets up muttering, "Miracle!" More often he does not. Yet, as in all such cases, the few who do recover give up hope to the rest. Words of the miracle priest is spreading quickly through Latin America, and the church has not discouraged him. But sometimes the people are disappointed because Padre Antonio is not at his window. Sick himself with a racking kidney disease, he only performs his miracles for a few weeks at a time. That way, he says, he hopes he lives through 1948. He is not sure he will. This woman is going to cure that she couldn't walk before visiting the Padre. I don't know, man. I wonder, like, I haven't taken the time to look these things up in history to see where they're documented or how they're documented, because so many things happen. Some things have had to have been just not written about and remembered. And I feel like these capture, like, oof, in a minute. For operation, stomach of ulcer patient vial produced 27 ounces of gastric juice in one night via tube and nose. Normal flow is 10 ounces. It's disgusting, dude. Ulcer operation. A new surgical technique is used to cure the most difficult cases. How come we don't have to do this? In the past 5 hectic years, the number of U.S. ulcer patients has increased inexorably all through the country. Most of these ulcers are probably caused by an overproduction of gastric juice in the stomach, so that not only food digested, but a bit of stomach lining as well. Many patients can be treated by diet, surgical removal of the affected area. Here comes Mark. Hey, I'm reading. What are you doing? Are you done? You have another one. You finished. Okay. Just going through this. I just read this one story. It was like, wow. You just repeat. But this one's a surgery. We're about to look at a 1947 surgery of the gastric juice coming out of this man's nose hole.
Cutting edge. Am I right?
Yeah. It's vile. The man, I'm over here. Ugh. The man who has done this is Dr. Lester Dragstedt of the University of Chicago. He has perfected an operation now performed by many surgeons, which breaks the chain of events producing the ulcer instead of treating the ulcer itself. How the operation does this is shown on the next page. Well, we're going now. Impulse from brain, esophagus, vagus nerve, 7th rib removed. Sections of vagus nerves removed here in this. Woof. What? Okay. Main stomach nerves are cut to stop the overstimulation. I mean, I guess I could see that, but I don't think that ended up being the result. Most chronic ulcer sufferers are highly nervous people. They respond readily and excessively to nearly anything which happens to them, and the responses increase the flow of gastric juices in their stomach. I think that all of this is 1947. It comes down to basically it ends up being a gallbladder issue in the end. I don't know. First rib is removed from the patient's chest. Jesus criminy. This is necessary because the opening for the operation must be quite large. I mean, they're yakking at the rib right here. This is like them cutting, that's them holding the rib, and this is them cutting the rib. Nerves are pulled upward by sutures after the opening has been made larger and the esophagus exposed. Sutures are slipped under the nerves, 3 strands of white tissue isolating them so they can be cut. Honk! Nerves are cut with scissors. Vagus nerves are not only stimulate gastric juice, but also help control muscular contractions of the stomach and upper intestines as well. These functions are briefly impaired until other nerves take over. So then why do it? Yeah, we live and learn. Look at that gloved hand. Like, it seems like those gloves are thick. I don't think you can feel much. Look at what you're doing right in there. Holy cow, what is this? Trend after World War One, trend after World War Two. The shift in wealth. Let's come down. Come down. Look at this. This is great. Where am I going? I can go this way. Keep the image in there. Oh yeah. I'm gonna have to load this stack of books. So far, I've done nothing but read. I'm not doing anything for collage. All right, this is cool. We're in frame. What is this? Okay, this is around 1915 to 1965. This to 1918, there's World War One, and then there's the post-war boom, which is 1818 to 1920. The post-war setback, which was 1920 to 1923. That was no job. This shows a picture. Let me look back up here. So World War One, we have war industries. It's help wanted, big pay, double for overtime. Prices are up. We're at war. Post-war boom, people have money. Post-war setback, no jobs, everything's on sale. That's 1920 to 23. Second, post-war expansion. Take a chance, win $500, or what are they doing? They got cars from 23 to 29, no speed limit, go, gas everywhere. Second setback, people are getting broke. That is 1929, and the gradual recovery all the way up to took 10 years to 1938. And then there was a war ahead. It says, and you go up that all the hills, up here, we're up here. This is World War II, ended in 45. It says, converting from guns to roller skates, war bonds, war plant, savings bank, frozen savings thaw out, industrial demobilization. Okay, and post-war boom. Ha! Okay, this is where we are today. Look, so this is 1947, so they just predicting trend after World War II. So they are at 48 to 1950. They have shaky in company liquidation, luxury goods, everything's kind of whatever. So from 1950, it's called to 1965, they went a whole 15 years. It's the second post-war expansion. This actually is true. Let's see what it has. Excuse me. New products, new techniques. Caution, remember 29. 1965, good chance for full employment, production at all-time peak. 2, increased production, Better Homes Development Company, Public Works USA, Bridges. Interesting. AF. I feel like I'm wishing this was more today. I could see something besides a smear campaign. It's just about the people, what the people are doing, not who's in charge, who's doing what. It's just like, okay, I'm gonna drink. All right, so this is prosperity. An optimistic expert on economics undisturbed by the gloomy talk of inflation and crash, forecasts a steady rise in production and living standards. He wasn't wrong. A healthier economy after World War II. It's just, simple. Let's see, the shift in wealth since 1936. So let's look what this is. Who are these? How are they having these people labeled out? So 1935, 36 to 46. Percent of population, the shift in wealth. So I'm thinking it shows like this is a soldier, these are children, this is a soldier, they become a man. The wealth then shifted from the working class, the poor, to the working class, it looks like. I have no idea. It's such a weird graph. People, they are showy like the skyline. Which skyline is this? In 1947. This is Miami skyline in 1947. Interesting. Up everything looks different now. It's purple now, isn't it? Or blue, or pink, or something. Seward. See, there's a Seward plantation in Brenham. It was here from the beginning, like early 1800s. I wonder if they moved, but big money, if that is. I don't know who that is. Roy Evans made a fortune in auto, now plays polo, tennis, and lives on a yacht. Pepperdonna, Miss Miami Beach in 1947, posed for the type of picture that made Miami famous. Okay. Slack suits. Pools, life centers around them, but not in them. What? Around them, but not in them. That's the most stupid. What? Get around it or get in homes. They are some of the world's most magnificent and costly residents. Breakfast in bed. These people really did set us up for thinking the way we think today, I suppose. And these people still pull, like, this is the same thing. I've been embarked in so many events that this is the blah, blah, blah. Hotels, their appearance is impressive, but so are their customer bills. Look at that, stacked. There's that. Hanging balconies jut from the corner of the Shelbourne Hotel in Miami Beach's Collins Avenue. I bet it's not there anymore. There's Maxims. Look at that. Hotel Raleigh Terrace. By the pool, not in the pool. Babs, Dana Gibson. She's a cigarette model. What you got there? Watch out, there's water right here. It took me like 5 times to see him. What the heck?
I can identify with that.
Nothing. Hasty Pudding Centennial. Harvard's dramatic group puts on its 100th show and recalls how its illustrious members used to cut up. Putsy, Happen Single, J.P. Spang, John Pierpont Morgan. Pierpont? Owls scare starlings. Phosphorescent fakes frighten the black-feathered pests from Illinois Capitol. All right, look at them. I'm scared of that too. Wonder if they're there. In Springfield, Illinois, thousands of starlings took to roosting in the crannies of the Capitol, but nothing could make them go away. But last month, returning by habit to roost, the starlings were greeted by dozens of glaring owls sitting in trees and around the buildings. All the owls were fake. The starlings, which are terribly frightened of owls, skirted away and flew high up in the dome to avoid them. Each day, the men would put the owls there. A couple of professional starling scarers named Souls and Swisher moved their fake birds up higher on the dome until finally the starlings deserted the Capitol and scattered to less desirable roosts in the city. People still do that. Here's one. But this is one. This is, what number are you? This is in number 11. And this is the ads just for beer. It's not for a beer or type of beer. It's just for beer. It says, After a Day in the Snow by John Gannon, number 11 in the series of Home Life in America by noted American illustrators. I do love the illustrators. Who like the chair. I wish I could do that. I wonder if it's a paint. This is that guy. It's a beautiful picture. It says, Beer belongs. Enjoy it. In this home-loving land of ours, in this America of kindliness, of friendship, of good-humored tolerance, perhaps no beverages are more at home on more occasions than good American beer and ale. For beer is the kind of beverage Americans like. It belongs to pleasant living, to good fellowship, to sensible moderation, and our right to enjoy it. This, too, belongs to our own American heritage of personal freedom. Well, and I have probably 20 of these now. So when I come across them, it's like, bingo! Add it to the stack. I'll pull it out. I'll go through this later and pull out what I want. Ma Bell. We're in the unit of the Bell system since 1882. Well, 1980 when I was a little kid is when they cut it. And I've been watching Congress recently with how much Facebook and Google owns and how they control it and work together to keep us buying from them and not regular Americans. And that's what that did. And that's why we have Verizon. That's why we have Sprint. That's why we have all of the other things in our choices is because they made the choice to not allow these guys to be a monarchy. Look who that is. Einstein, Albert Einstein, the Institute's most famous member, gives his first lecture in its only classroom. The Thinkers, the Institute for Advanced Study, is their haven. They have always been men who have wanted to get away somewhere and think. In a practical world, they have found few places where they could go and, without worry, do nothing but think. But the atomic bomb, a devastating projection of this century's most abstruse thinking, demonstrated to the whole world, the practical appliance of pure reason. The thinker has come into his own, and the red brick building at Wright has become recognized as one of the most important places on the earth. This building is in Princeton, New Jersey, and houses the Institute for Advanced Study, a place designed for thinkers who have no concern for immediate practical results. Here, one of the most imposing collections of minds ever gathered in one place lives and works together. 100 men and women from 12 countries who study everything from Greek artifacts to the rotation of electrons to the probability of depression. This fall, the Institute got a new director, J. Robert Oppenheimer, who directed the Los Alamos project, which built the first atomic bomb. The Institute, which has no connection to Princeton University, was founded in 1930 by Louis Baumberger, owner of the Newark, New Jersey department store, and his sister, Mr. Felix Fold. It now has an endowment of 21 million, practically none of which has to be spent in operating a plant. The Institute has no laborers, no apparatus. What the people at the Institute need is simply a place to sit or lie down, a desk, perhaps a blackboard for calculations. They also need the company of other thinkers and freedom from financial worry, both of which the Institute provides. Good God, take me over there. There are no classes and few lectures. The lecture which Albert Einstein is shown delivering above the was the first he has ever given in his 14 years as a member. Einstein himself works in an unpainted cubicle, having retreated to it from a large adjoining office. This big office where Einstein's assistant sits is lined with bookshelves. The only thing on the shelves, it was left there by the previous occupant, Nobel Prize winning physician Niels Bohr, is a half empty can of tobacco. Economist Walter W. Stewart stretches out in his office couch to think. He is investigating patterns of inflation and depression that followed the Civil War and World War I, which will help him analyze the nature of U.S. financial and economic readjustment after World War II. Professor Stewart, chairman of the board of the Rockefeller Foundation and the General Education Board, was economic advisor to Bank of England before the war. Later was consultant to Treasury Secretary Morgenthau for 4 years. Institute members are free to take on advisory jobs for industry or government. Of course, this is the beginnings, right? Advisory jobs, so extra money, even though you're paid to lay there. Economist Winfield Reifler is working on monetary stability problem. He is an economic consultant for the Marshall Plan and U.S. member of a UN subcommittee on economics. During the war, he was Assistant Ambassador Winant, a minister in charge of economic warfare. Humanist Dr. Frank Adeleit is the Institute's ex-director. He came into the Institute from the president of Swarthmore College in 1939. Retired this fall when Oppenheimer took over. Idlett's field is Elizabethan literature, Like most retired Institute members, he stays on to work. Paleographer Elias A. Lowe is compiling a 10-volume work called Codices Latini Antiquares, which will contain all medieval literature, writings, and manuscripts existing before 800 AD. He uses photostatic copies of ancient writings and makes notes in Latin. Epigrapher Benjamin Merritt uses a magnifying glass to read one of his 25,000 squeezes, paper impressions of indistinct writings found on stones in Greece. Paleographers decipher all ancient writings, but epigraphers specialize in writings on buildings or monuments. Archaeologist Dr. Homer A. Thompson sorts pictures of the thousands of ancient Greek artifacts which he helped unearth at the Agora in Athens. The Agora was the city's original public square, which contained the library's archives, council house, and concert hall. Dr. Thompson began work there 17 years ago, and the excavations were started. He was still busy cataloging the enormous number of potteries, coins, and sculptures that were dug up. Last week, he received still another shipment of coins and photographs. In a few more years, he'll be ready to publish his findings. So, archaeologist Dr. Homer A. Thompson. Did he publish his findings? Playing with a piece of chalk to help his thinking, Richard Schaefer considers his complicated genetic algebras. At work, their main tools are their minds. In most fields of learning, the thinkers have tools they can use. Humanists can refer to ancient writings, economists and political scientists can use statistics and charts, but thinkers in the field of higher mathematics and theoretical physics have to work out hypotheses with abstract symbols. Their tools are knowledge, imagination, and reason. Both the men shown on these pages are members of the Institute of School of Mathematics, which has the best collection of mathematicians and one of the best collections of physicists in the world. Richard Schaefer, 29, is an expert in the field of non-associative algebras, algebraic situations where seemingly difficult formulas are not equal. These formulas appear in the study of genetics, and using the formula on his blackboard, Schaefer is proving that sometimes they are equal after all. With his back to a blackboard sits Professor Oswald Veblen, one of the greatest living mathematicians, nephew of the late Thorstein Veblen. His field of differential geometry, the application of analysis to the study of space, which is the basic mathematics underlying the theory of relativity. He is now working on spinors, the quantities which describe the rotation of electrons, protons, and neutrons. During the war, like many other Institute members, Veblen worked with the armed forces. He helped the Navy develop submarine warfare and worked with the Air Force in England, where he was cited for vital assistance in developing the accuracy of strategic bombing. And he looks mad. Again, Einstein, man, that's so good. Einstein tells Oppenheimer about his newest attempts to explain matter in terms of space. We need an Einstein, and Elon Musk is not that person. Roni's outside. She wants to come back in. High quality invitations are finding favor among U.S. film fans. Tiny peasants in the tune. I want my dog in. I almost finished with this book, and then I'm going to stop it and then start another one. Another book because I'm bored. I don't mind reading. Okay. I'm excited about my books. At least I can't sit on them. Not gonna lie. This world's got me polarized. I don't know what to think. And I'm not reading about these men bowling. That's a cool picture. The saddest war in Indochina, French troops battle men who are patriots but are led by communists. A little reason to end it. Elite. All right, what's my last page? Cigarettes. All right, so this was Miami, 12 pages of color, in December 29th of 1947. It was 15 cents. Ain't she cute? I don't know who that is. But front page is towels. But I'm going to stop it. This is an hour long, and then I'm going to start another one and do another magazine.